In this video, we'll show a proof of concept of how Fleet can integrate with Okta to block access to corporate apps if the device is unhealthy. So here we have a macOS VM, and we have an Okta dashboard, and we have a dummy app here for demonstration purposes. So let's go ahead and click on it, try to log in. We'll see this verify with Fleet pop up. We'll say verify. I'll explain this a little later, but it'll ask for a certificate. And this certificate is currently located in the system keychain. So we need to access the system keychain. And I will explain later how to skip this. And now we see the device health is failed, and we can create a custom web page, including like what is failing and how to resolve it. But before we resolve it, let's go discuss why those two pop-ups came up. So if we go to our keychain access, currently we're using MTLS, mutual TLS. So we need a certificate to tell Fleet exactly what device is accessing Okta. So in this case, we're using our MDM certificate. We will likely want to use a different certificate because we want to be able to use this with or without MDM. But there's two things to know about the certificate. First, a certificate has an identity preference, so you can add a location like this URL, in this case FleetDM, MTLS fleetdm.site, and that'll bypass that box to select which certificate to use. And then the other thing is access control lists. So if I double click this, we have access control. So if we add Safari or Chrome in this case to this access control, that second pop-up will disappear. So in order to get rid of those two pop-ups, we need to configure access control and the identity preference. Okay, let's go back to the demo. And by the way, those two can be configured via MDM, I believe. Our customers are using that. All right, let's go back to here. Device health check failed, and we have instructions. I think the formatting could be a little better here. I apologize, this is just a rough draft. So open system settings, select lock screen, verify show message when locked is enabled. And the message we want is reserved for authorized users only. So let's go ahead and do that. We open system settings, we go to lock screen, we go show message when locked, and then we set the message to reserved for authorized use only. Set message to reserved for authorized use only. Okay, so it's all set, and the instructions say go to Fleet Desktop and refetch your device. Let's go to Fleet Desktop, my device, refetch. Another thing I wanted to mention is with Okta, you can stay signed in for a certain amount of time, and that is configured in your Okta policies. By default, the device refetch happens an hourly, but that's adjustable. So we probably want to mirror that in Okta to require users to re-authenticate on the same cadence that we refetch our device. If we want to be more advanced, it is possible for Fleet to revoke a session, likely by sending some kind of identifier in the SAML attribute, and then using that identifier to try to revoke that session, or at least require the user to re-authenticate if they try to log into the app again. All right, so this is clean. So let's go ahead and try to log in again. This is just a custom error message. So we go back to our app, we click on our app. It says verify with Fleet, and all the settings were already set. So yeah, so we're in. This is just a dummy location. So that's how that works. One more thing to mention is that in this flow, Fleet acts as a second factor, and as a second factor, Fleet also acts as an IDP. So in order to configure Fleet as an IDP with Okta, we need to, Fleet needs to have a certificate that it uses to sign its SAML messages. So effectively here we have another certificate that Fleet needs to have for as an IDP. Then we have a certificate that we potentially need for this flow, a client certificate. So it's starting to seem like Fleet needs to manage several certificates. So perhaps we can think about how to make that certificate management experience a bit more straightforward for users. Thanks for watching. Bye.